The air in your uncle's study felt heavy and hard to breathe. A single light bulb swung from the ceiling, its weak flickering glow making creepy shadows dance across the room. The whole place smelled like old cigars, dried blood, and years of anger. No one said a word until your uncle suddenly slammed his hand on the desk, making the glass of whiskey next to him shake. You betrayed us. His voice hadn't been loud, but it had been lethal, controlled, calculated that made it worse. You stood there frozen, your hand instinctively brushing your lower stomach. 2 months. You were 2 months pregnant with John Jungkook's child, the very man you were supposed to destroy, the man who now meant more to you than your own blood. I didn't betray anyone. Jungkook is innocent. It was his father who. Innocent? He spat the word like poison. That bastard is John Sung-woo's son. That make him one of them, and now you have gotten yourself pregnant with his child? His chair scrapped back violently as he rose, pacing like a caged beast. We raised you, we trained you. You were our sharpest blade, our only shot at ending the John legacy without a war. You were sent in to spy on them, on him, and what do you bring back after 8 months? A belly full of John Sung-woo's bloodline? Your fist clenched. You have heard this all before. How they took you in after your parents were killed, how they molded you into a spy, how you became your uncle's prized weapon, but they never let you be a person, never let you feel until Jungkook. I gave you everything. I gave you their codes, routes, safe house maps, enough to wipe out his father's empire. And I told you, Jungkook doesn't know any of it. He's not involved in the killings. He doesn't matter. Your uncle cuts in coldly. He's still their blood, and that child growing inside you, it's a John. That blood should have never mixed with ours. You staggered back like you have been slapped, your chest burns, your pulse thundered in your ears. You knew they would be angry, but this is madness. You want me to kill my own baby now? No, I won't. His eyes narrowed. Then we'll do it ourselves. John Jungkook dies within the week. No. You nearly screamed. You grabbed the edge of the desk. Your knuckles turned white. You won't touch him. He doesn't deserve this. He's not like his father. Doesn't matter. Once a John, always a John. You think he'll be spared when we bring down his family? Another voice said behind you. Your cousin stepped out of the shadows. You whirled around, your heart pounding. I'll do anything, please, you begged, swallowing the bitter taste of desperation. Just spare him. I'll disappear. I'll cut ties with him forever. He'll never know about the baby. There was silence. Then your uncle leaned back slowly, folding his hands, calculating and cruel. You made your choice the moment you opened your legs for that bastard. You want to fix this? Fine, end it, leave him, and disappear. Your eyes widened. What? Leave him, he repeated. Tonight, no contact, no goodbye. If you ever want to earn this family's trust back, you will vanish from his life. You shook your head. I can't. Then he dies. Your uncle said, voice like ice, your choice. Your cousin chuckled darkly. Look at her, soft now. Love really does turn killers into cowards. You turned to him, fury burning in your eyes. Say one more word and I swear, enough. Your uncle bowed. He stepped back, looking at you with finality. You walk away and we spare him. That's the only deal you get. Tears threatened to fall, but you blinked them back. Your voice trembled, but your resolve did not. Fine, you whispered. I'll leave. Your uncle gave a single nod. Smart girl. Your uncle's threat hung in the air like the scent of gunpowder after a shot, dangerous and final. But you weren't done. You lifted your chin, gathering what strength you had left, and said quietly, but before that, let me meet him. Just once. The room fell still. Your cousin coughed. So you can warn him? Tip him off? Lead him to us? No, you said quickly, shaking your head. If I vanish like that, without a trace, Jungkook won't sit still. He'll turn the world upside down looking for me. If I disappear without a word, he'll burn cities trying to find me. And in the process, he might ruin everything we have built. The plan to take down his father, it could all fall apart. You look straight at your uncle, your voice soft but firm. Please, one last meeting. Just a few hours. I'll make sure he lets go. I'll make sure he believes it. He stared at you, eyes narrowed in quiet calculation. The silence that followed felt like standing on a frozen lake, listening for cracks beneath your feet. Finally exhaled slowly, reaching for his scotch. Fine. Relief rushed through you until he added, but on one condition. Your spine stiffened. You meet him in the house you two shared. We'll be watching. No hints, no hidden messages, no final kisses that linger too long. If he even suspected you are lying, he paused for some seconds. He dies that same night. You swallowed the lump in your throat and nodded. Understood. Because if this was the last time you would see him, your love, your home, your heart, you would give the performance of your life and you would break him just enough to save him. The sound of keys jingling echoed through the quiet house, followed by the soft thud of the front door closing. Babe? Jungkook called out, his voice unusually light, carrying an excitement he could barely contain. I'm home. You stood in the kitchen, your hands trembling against the counter as you stared at the forged DNA report tucked in your back pocket. The lies you were about to spill were poison, but necessary. He stepped into the room seconds later. His black coat was damp from rain, hair tousled, and lips already stretching into grin. There you are. He walked straight to you, and before you could speak, his arms wrapped tightly around your body. God, you have no idea what this message did to me. I still don't know if I'm dreaming. You said nothing as he kissed your cheek, your forehead, then dropped to his knees, gently pressing a hand to your stomach. I'm going to be a dad, he whispered in awe. You are really pregnant. You are carrying our baby. His eyes welled with emotion. I don't even know what to feel. Terrified, happy, overwhelmed. You made me the happiest man in the world, you know that? His joy, it stabbed you like a glass under skin. He stood again, brushing your hair behind your ear, then paused. Your expression had cracked, your smile had never formed, and your eyes, they looked like a storm waiting to destroy him. Wait, he cupped your face. What's wrong? You don't look, this is amazing news, isn't it? You closed your eyes, breathed in once, just once, then you spoke the words that ripped. I told you I'm pregnant, Jungkook. You said softly, each word weighted with knives. But it's not your child. His hands dropped from your face, and heavy silence settled, pure, raw, aching silence. He stared at you, blinking like he hadn't heard you right. What? You stepped back, pulling the forged documents from your pocket. I didn't mean for it to happen. It was a mistake. I tried to forget it. But when I found out, I had to be honest. Jungkook didn't even glance at the paper. His eyes were locked on yours, searching. You are lying. You looked down in shame. I'm not. I'm sorry. You are. His voice rose. You wouldn't do that. You wouldn't lie to me like this. Not after everything. Not you. I never promised you forever, Jungkook. You whispered, biting back the sob rising in your chest. We were always temporary. That's bullshit. He shouted, making you flinch slightly. It was the first time he rose his voice and you knew he was in pain. I'm sorry. No. His voice grew darker. You don't get to say sorry. You stood in this house, in front of me, in my bed, and told me you loved me. You made promises. You didn't flinch even when every syllable he spoke tore into your ribs. I know I betray you, and I'm ready for whatever decision you make. The pain in his eyes turned into something else, a storm of betrayal, of rage and heartbreak twisted together so tightly they bled. You know what? He hissed, laughing bitterly. Fine, you want out? You got it. You blinked. Jungkook. No, he stepped back like you were venom. Don't say another word. You could see it, his walls going up, the shield slamming down. You weren't looking at your Jungkook anymore. You were looking at the mafia boss, the man who had survived betrayal his whole life. I should have known. You were too good to be real. He turned away. I'll have the papers sent tomorrow. We are done. And just like that, he walked out of his own house, slamming the door behind him, leaving behind only silence, shattered trust, and the scent of peaches in the rain. The world believed you were shattered, that John Jungkook had thrown you out after learning the child wasn't his, that you would return to your uncle's side with your head bowed and your belly carrying a mistake, but no one knew the truth, that heartbreak was the smoke screen and war had just begun. 3 weeks later, location John headquarters basement war room. Jungkook stood in front of a digital screen displaying intricate maps, red dots marking his father's hidden assets, drug routes, and bribed government officials. Behind him, Yoongi lit a cigarette. You are sure she gave you the right intel? Jungkook's jaw ticked. She's never been wrong. Yoongi raised a skeptical brow. You still believe her? She also lied about the baby, lied to your face. Jungkook didn't flinch, his voice razor sharp. She lied to save my life, to protect me from all of this. He pointed to the screen where Sangwoo's name blinked like a curse. And that kid, that's mine, always was. There was a bit of silence, only the hum of machines and the distant thunder of a storm above ground. Yoongi stared at him for a long moment, then with a breathless chuckle he muttered, Okay, now I understood everything. You're still a team. You know what's crazy? He gestured towards the glowing web of red on the screen. We have been chasing Sangwoo's empire for years, tapping phones, boring rats, threatening ghosts. Then he pointed at the screen again, and she dismantled half of it in 3 months, quietly, cleanly, like a phantom in red lipstick. Jungkook didn't speak, but his pride was obvious. Yoongi gave a half laugh, rubbing the back of his neck. You fell in love with a woman who could have destroyed you. She could still destroy me, Jungkook said, voice low, a faint smile at the edge of his lips, and I would let her. Yoongi whistled softly, shaking his head. Your love for her, it's not just love, it's devotion. It's loyalty, madness, maybe even obsession. You would burn your own bloodline to the ground if it meant she would sleep peacefully at night. Jungkook turned to him now. I already am. Yoongi let the words settle, then looked back at the glowing red web. Alright then, he said, flicking the cigarette onto the floor and crushing it beneath his foot. Let's burn your father's kingdom to ash for her. And with that, the final act began. You entered the underground vault, eyes trained ahead as your cousin typed in the access code. You had regained their trust by showing them the divorce papers and staying quiet, obedient, pretending to be broken, but inside you were gathering the last pieces, the final names, the one who killed your father. Everything is here, your cousin said. Routes, contacts, even the cash stashes in Macau and Busan. You smiled faintly. Uncle has been busy. What was that? You turned. Nothing. But deep down you were already uploading the files through the hidden transmitter in your bracelet, sending them straight to Jungkook's encrypted server. Later that week you met Jungkook at Dockyard at midnight. You were stood under a broken lamppost, rain soaking through your coat. Jungkook emerged from shadows, hooded, guarded, but when he saw you, his hand shook. You didn't touch him, you only handed him a folder. Your father killed mine, you whispered, and my uncle raised me to destroy yours. But they both forget one thing. Jungkook looked up, gaze burning. What's that? That I'm not their weapon anymore. His eyes softened. And what am I to you? You hesitated. The only one I trust with the end game. Jungkook didn't wait a second longer. He closed the distance in one step and cupped your face with trembling hands, pulling you in and crashing his lips onto yours. The kiss was fierce, desperate, like he needed you to know how much he missed you, how he had lived every second apart from you, with fire in his lungs and grief in his bones. You clutched his jacket, feeling the quake of his chest, the tremble of his fingers, the storm of pain that lived under his skin. When he finally pulled back, his lips were still brushing yours, breath uneven. He rested his forehead against yours, closing his eyes as though your touch was the only thing keeping him upright. I want this over, he whispered. I want to finish this damn mess and take you back home, to safety, to peace, to us. You placed your hand over his heart. We have to do this, Jungkook. Just a few more days, you whispered, and we'll be free. He nodded slowly. Yeah, just a few more. I won't take long. I'll burn everything down. His thumb brushed your cheek. Just take care of yourself. For me, for the baby. You gave a soft nod, eyes never leaving his. In the middle of the chaos, under the broken light and relentless rain, for a brief second it felt like you were home, but war was waiting, and your love, it was the sharpest weapon of all. John Sangbu, the old devil, sat in the high-rise suite, swirling bourbon and crystal. He believed Jungkook had gone soft, that heartbreak had made him weak. He didn't know his own son was the one leaking the syndicate's financial to Interpol. He didn't know the enemies were closing in from the shadows of his own blood. And your uncle? He was too busy arranging secret meetings with remaining allies, trying to build alliances he didn't know would never arrive because you had already exposed them all. Your cousin's girlfriend was on your payroll. His right-hand man's child had been taken into Jungkook's protective custody. You weren't just breaking them, you were cutting them quietly, piece by piece. Jungkook handed over a flash drive to a government contact. This holds John Sang-woo's offshore accounts. You slipped a cyanide-laced drink into your uncle's meeting room as a gift from an ally. 2 key lieutenants fall dead before sunrise. A newspaper headline flashed. Major underground syndicates collapse. Anonymous whistleblowers tip authorities. You stared out of a window, your hands on your belly. Jungkook in another city mirrored the same pose. A voiceover in your mind echoed Jungkook's words from the dock. They'll never know what hit them. Your uncle sat in his leather chair staring at the printed intel on his desk. Data breaches, failed shipments, dead allies, red crosses marked the names of his closest men, taken down one by one. No external wars, no known moles, only shadows, only whispers. And you? He stared at your recent movements, your reappearances, your silence, the way you no longer flinched when someone raised their voice, the calculated calm you wore like a mask. His fingers clenched around a pen, snapped it in half. She's feeding someone, he said under his breath. That little girl I raised, she's feeding our blood to someone. What? Your cousin stabbed in. Where is she? She says she's going to the archives. He smiled, but it was the kind of smile that meant death. Send someone to follow her. I want every word, every breath, every click she makes reported back to me. Yes, boss. But what your uncle didn't know, what he failed to see, was that his game had already ended. He was playing catch-up in a game you and Jungkook had already won. Meanwhile, Jong Sang-woo's estate. A vast quiet room filled with old war mementos, thick books, and one disappointed father. Jungkook stood facing John Sang-woo, arms crossed, eyes unreadable. You look too calm for a man who just lost 10 million in 3 days, his father remarked, sipping wine, trying to provoke him. Jungkook offered a slight smile. Maybe calm is what's needed when empires fall. John Sang-woo narrowed his eyes. What are you hiding? Nothing, Jungkook replied smoothly, just watching you rot in your own pride. Sang-woo slammed the glass down. You think you're clever? You think I don't know you have been leaking intel? Jungkook tilted his head. And yet you have done nothing to stop it. You are not angry because I betrayed you. You are angry because I outplayed you. Sang-woo stood. I am your father. No, Jungkook cut in his voice suddenly ice. You were my prison. And now I'm just the warden who decided to set the whole thing on fire. The older man clenched his jaw, the truth settling in his bones. You'll pay for this, but Jungkook smiled. No, you'll vanish for this. He walked to the door but paused. I forgave you when I thought you were just a monster, but then I found out the truth. What truth? That you murdered her father. Silence. Sangwoo's didn't deny it. Jungkook looked over his shoulder one last time. You messed with the wrong woman, and I loved the wrong man for too long. Now, we're both righting those wrongs together. And then he left, leaving his father in a room that no longer smelled of power but of loss. The wind howled through shattered windows, rusted machines groaned under the weight of silence. You stood alone in the center of a factory floor, exactly where you and Jungkook had agreed to meet. But he was late, too late. A sharp click behind you. You turned only to find three of your uncle's men stood in the shadows, guns raised, faces grim. He's not coming, one said coldly. A fourth figure emerged, your uncle, clapping slowly. You almost had me, Vian. I raised you better than that. You didn't move, you didn't flinch, not even when the muzzle of a gun pressed against your back. Your uncle circled you like a predator. Rain leaked through the broken ceiling, dripping steadily onto the cracked floor, every drop like a ticking clock. You didn't raise me. You shaped me into your soldier, but you forgot that soldiers eventually learn how to lead their own wars. He chuckled darkly, stepping closer. So poetic and so stupid. Did you think you and that bastard Jungkook could take my empire down without consequences? You stared at him knowing well that it wasn't the right time. One wrong move from you and your uncle will end you without mercy. I should have known, he hissed. Should have seen it the moment you hesitated. You fell in love with him. John Jungkook turned you into a traitor. I was never yours. You killed my father. Used me like a weapon, but guess what? You looked up at him, chin raised. You trained me too well. Before he could react, a silent shot cracked from above. One of his guards dropped, then another. Panic exploded. It's an ambush. Smoke bombs rolled in, swallowing the place in white fog. Gunfire erupted, chaos, screams, and in that story, Jungkook emerged like a phantom, head to toe in black, storm in his eyes. You had never seen him like that, efficient, deadly, a ghost from hell returning from vengeance. Touch her, he growled, gun drawn, and I'll make sure your last breath is spent begging. Gunfire erupted, screams tore through the metal walls. It was chaos, bullets ricocheting, smoke filling the room. On the other side, Jungkook's father thought it was an opportunity to end your uncle and you, so he attacked. Taemin, Jungkook's most loyal man, dropped in from the catwalk above with a small squad, flanking from both sides. Traps they had led earlier triggered. The power cut, steel doors slammed shut behind your uncle's men. One by one, the enemies fell until only your uncle and Jungkook's father remained. Bleeding, cornered, defeated. Your uncle grabbed you in last attempt, knife at your throat. You were like a daughter to me, and you killed my father. You spat, no fear in your voice. Jungkook's bullet tore through his shoulder. He collapsed. Jungkook was by your side in seconds, checking your pulse, your face, your body, his hands trembling. Are you hurt? No, you whispered, heart racing. Are you? He exhaled shakily, pressing his forehead to yours. I almost lost you. We made it, you murmured. It's over. Behind you, Jungkook's father crawled across the floor, blood staining the concrete beneath him. Jungkook looked down at him one last time. He coughed, struggling to lift his head, pride still stubborn in his eyes despite the defeat bleeding out of him. Jungkook stepped forward, cold, calculated, lethal. The man who used to tremble under his father's orders was long gone. You built your kingdom on blood and control, but you forgot. Fear only lasts until someone stops being afraid. His father gave a bitter laugh, voice hoarse. You think you have won? You'll never be more than my shadow. Jungkook crouched beside him, eyes hard and merciless. I was your shadow, but now I'm the fire that burns it away. He leaned in closer, letting the man smell the death that clung to the air. You underestimated love. Thought it made me weak, but she, his gaze flicked to you. She made me a goddamn storm. His father tried to laugh again, but blood choked the sound. You're still nothing without my name. Jungkook stood towering. No, I buried your name tonight. From now on, the world will remember mine. He turned his back, voice like ice. Die knowing your legacy ends with you. The warehouse filled with silence, the silence that follows the fall of tyrants. You approached him, your eyes were never leaving his, blood on your lips, fire in your chest. They thought we were weapons. Jungkook looked at you, still breathing heavy, his voice rough but alive. I told you I would bring you home, and I told you we would finish what we started. And as dawn broke over the ruins, it wasn't just the end of their legacy, it was the beginning of yours. You stood on the balcony barefoot, wrapped in Jungkook's hoodie, the wind brushing strands of hair across your face. The ocean below didn't roar anymore, it just breathed. His arm came around you from behind, slow and careful, like he was still afraid he might wake up and find you gone. You shouldn't be out in the cold, he said, kissing your shoulder. You didn't move. I needed air. We made it, Jungkook. He pressed his forehead against your shoulder, exhaling like he had been holding that breath since the gunfire stopped. I keep seeing it. That moment he grabbed you, I thought I was gonna lose you, and I couldn't do a damn thing. You turned, facing him, your fingers sliding under the edge of his hoodie to feel his skin, like you had to keep touching him just to believe he was real. You didn't lose me, I'm right here. We are alive, and so is this little one. You took his hand and placed it gently on your belly. His expression changed, raw, wrecked, quiet awe. They were there too, in that war. Felt everything you felt, every second of it. You nodded. They know what it means to fight, but they'll never have to. Not like we did. He looked at you then, like you were the whole damn world. I'm gonna protect this family. No empires, no bloodlines. Just us. You leaned into him, resting your head against his chest, hearing the beat of the heart that had only ever stayed soft for you. We burn everything down, Jungkook, but we build something too, something they'll never understand. He kissed the top of your head. They don't need to. They're gone. We are not. That's enough. And in that moment, as the sky bled orange and the world slowly woke again, you weren't just survivors, you were starting something new, something that no one could touch.